Hello everybody and welcome back to LMM. And if you're enjoying the kind of stuff that you're seeing on the channel at the moment, how about giving this video a like and maybe subscribing to the channel to help us grow. The observant amongst you will see that I am sat in the shed and will be thinking about now, we haven't had an episode of What's Broken Now for quite some time. And that's because that, for the last few years, has been something that Matt does. He tells me what he needs me to say and then chooses the relevant clips to go along with it. Because normally the stuff that you see is stuff that we've done at least a month ago to give us time to pull it all together. Matt recently has taken on a new role at work and that has left him with very little free time. And so he hasn't done What's Broken Now. So I suppose it falls upon me to pick up the slack. So with that, welcome to What's Broken Now. Firstly, this video is sponsored by our friends over at TOPDON, who you may remember a few weeks ago sent me this battery tester to test out. And now that I have read the book of words that goes with it, I understand how to use it. So you take your little tester thing and you connect the positive up to the negative, and then it powers on. And it tells you the voltage of the battery across the bottom as it's powering up. So we can now do the battery test. It's a regular flooded battery. We're going to use CCA, and then we're going to get the number off the front of it here. And this one says 360 CCA. So we're going to press enter, and we will now test this battery. And it has come back that this is a good battery, which is good because I bought it from Halfords just this morning. It says it is healthy at 100%, it has 75% charge, and it is got other things on it. So, good battery, good tester, very useful. I've put it on a couple of other things around here. One of the batteries I had, it just went, nah, that's not good. It's got no voltage, it's 12 volt, it had 4 volts, and it went, try charging it and we'll see what happens. So a massive thank you to TOPDON for sending this through. It's actually a really useful product and it's going to save us a lot of time and effort going through our dead batteries. If you're interested in this, there's a link coming up on the screen and in the video description, there is a money off discount code for you to go onto the website and purchase yourself one of these. Highly recommend it. And with that, on with the rest of the show. Now this one happened quite some time ago and it is frankly one of the most terrifying things I ever have to do. And that is taking the big red thing out for its annual inspection and MOT. Yes, that's right, it's once again time to feature the big red thing. And today you join me as I take Jupes off for its annual inspection. It's a scary one for multiple reasons. Firstly, this is the furthest I've driven it this year. And secondly, it's going to be an expensive one. No matter what else has cropped up this year, I know that I'm going to need to put 2 new front tyres on it because they are now foul of the 10-year law. For those of you who aren't in the UK or don't know, a few years ago now, there was a fairly high-profile case where there was a big accident accredited to a large vehicle having old tyres which deteriorated and burst on the motorway, leading to several people to unfortunately lose their lives. And that has resulted in any HGV or bus has to have new tyres every 10 years. And for all intents and purposes, Jupes here counts as an HGV, which means that this is going to be very expensive before we address anything else that may or may not have gone wrong with the truck. And I know at the moment there'll be a load of you in the comments going, well, you don't need to go and get MOTs or get the thing inspected, it's exempt, it's a fire engine. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole today on whether it is or is not. But what is important though, is that you have to keep your vehicles safe. Jupes here is 11.5 tonnes gross. We can look after a lot of stuff in the shed, and we're getting quite, dare I say, competent at knowing what's safe and what's not safe on our fleet of cars. But that's anything up to 3.5 tonnes. When you go above the 7.5 tonne bracket, it's an entirely different kettle of fish. And for that, we're not even going to try. We don't have the facilities, we don't have the things we need to be able to do it safely, nor do we have the experience. And this thing is worth having somebody check it over properly because it's a big hunk of metal. It's a long old trip from the shed. And it also reminds me how loud this is and how I get asked a lot if I want to take this to various shows all over the country. And there's a bit of me that goes, yeah, I want to do that adventure in my fire engine, do confidence in it. And then I remember how loud it is. We're doing 40 at the moment. 40. And it's just loud. When we start it up, when I fire it up, and when I put my foot down, it's exciting, it's exhilarating. And now we're on the main road, it's just loud, droning, repetitive. There is one rather large problem today, aside from how much this is going to hurt my already depleted wallet. And that, my dear friends, is the fact that it is midweek, and there is nobody around today to come and collect me. So I've had to make my own arrangements to get home. Now today I'm just going to drop it off. But when I come and pick it up, I am going to have to put diesel in it, which is a horrible and terrifying prospect because it is it's not going to be a cheap delivery. No siree, it's not. Oops, I want to do that. Wrong one. That was buses only. Right, so that's it now, parked up and keys are in it, and I'm leaving it to be checked over, which means I need to get my alternative transportation out. Yep, I'm one of these guys now. Right, you, let's go exercise. Now, when I'd come up with this plan to cycle away from the garage, in my head, it seemed like a really good idea, especially as there was no real alternative of having anybody else around to fetch me. And even when I loaded the bike into the back of the fire engine and set off, it still seemed like a relatively good idea. The downside came that after I'd been cycling for the same amount of time that it had taken me to drive to the garage, I was still cycling. And I hadn't really made the kind of progress that I thought I was going to. It turns out that cycling is much, much, much slower and much harder work than driving. It turns out that I am nowhere near as fit as I thought I was. But whilst I was back in the shed, I noticed that the front of the Mini was sitting a little bit strange. That front bumper had drooped slightly. So I decided to have a bit of an investigation and work out just what had gone wrong. So, at this point of time, I have had the Mini on the road, legally insured and taxed, for something like 24 hours. And at about the 6-hour mark, having got it taxed, insured and on the road, I took it out for a drive, which is where this happened. This is not the bonnet being slightly released, this is somebody reversing into the car when it was parked outside and cracking the front bumper so it's dropped. I had a nice car for a few hours on the road before something went wrong and the curse caught up with it. So today I'm going to see if I can fix this because the crack is propagating, it's now made its way down to the light, and see if I can stop it getting worse and try and bring it back up to shape so the car doesn't look like it's been punched in the face, rather than working on something I need to work on. Oh, and the other thing is, you can see it's whacked it hard enough to make the side here not actually shut properly anymore. Right, so I found the problem of why this doesn't shut is because if I wiggle this now, that bit there's attached to that, so everything's attached to this bit. So if that moves, everything moves. So all it is now is to undo the bolt there, clippy thing there, and assume that it might go back together again. Stupid plastic clips. I've taken the screw out and it still doesn't want to come off, so we're just going to... Oh! It did what? It did... What did it? Stupid plastic plugs, so... Do we push that one? Oh yeah, that fixed that. Nice.
That was a lot easier than your Nissan bumper.
Yes, it was.
And it's a newer car.
Yes, it is.
A lot newer.
Yeah, it is. The only problem I do have is I don't know where the air temperature sensor is meant to have lived. Somewhere in the front.
Oh, that?
Yeah. Somewhere in the front.
Wet as well.
Well, yes, because it sits at the front, doesn't it? And it's wet outside.
Doesn't it go?
No, I don't think it goes. I think it goes in the grill somewhere. No, that's the light. That's these. Right, anyway, that's all. Right, so we can now see relatively clearly the damage there. So I reckon if I disassemble this, and undo that one, and that one, the front fog light, optional extra, should come out, and I can try getting some epoxy or something and fixing this, and it might all go back together again. And then there is, of course, the clip there, which is now mangled from where it got hit. And I've removed something. And now we can see the full extent of this.
At least this isn't broken, because that would be really annoying.
I'm amazed, actually, how good it is, considering. So it's now just, yeah, try and work out what we've got to punch that. That should go like that.
Just get a plate in there.
That's what I think. And that will kind of go like that. I'm sure we've got some epoxy and a piece of plastic across that, and we should be okay.
What are you doing?
I've drilled my finger.
How have you done that?
Because I put it there to support the broken piece of plastic, and...
Why would you put your finger on the other side of a hole that a drill's about to go through?
Yeah, but actually... So if you have a good...
You're an absolute muppet.
If you have a good look under there, you'll see that what's happened is the drill has caught the thing and wrapped itself around it, and I am now... Oh.
You do realise the drill doesn't need protection? That's what you've done there.
Remembered, kids. Can I... Yep, I got it out. Oh god. I've now made this worse.
Are you making the crack even worse?
Yes. 'Cause
Shall I just get a Stanley knife to cut it off?
I think we might need to, yeah. Right. So what I was doing before I caught my finger was putting some holes in here, here and here. And the idea is that they're going to give it something to adhere to. And also putting a drill hole down here where it's cracked at the top is going to stop it from propagating any further. So the idea now is to get some sandpaper like so, and we're going to rough up all of this to give the fiberglass something to actually attach itself to, because on smooth plastic it will just fall off. I'm making it worse. What do I have to do? There we go. One fiberglass patch. Done. So now as we start putting this car back together again, the idea of why it's so cheap becomes clear, because this bit here isn't meant to be disconnected, and neither the same that side there. So at some point someone's hit it, we think, and that's knocked all of that. And the annoying thing is that's holds the radiator in situ. As you can see, I've added a new bolt to hold it at least up here. So that's going to be now next week's challenge. On the other hand though, look at that, what a lovely repair. You'll never even notice. Apart from the hole there, but you know, perfect. And then I decided to go outside and see if some of the hints that you guys had given me in the comments would make Jeb start any easier. One of the comments I've had about this thing, my International B275, is that on the side of the fuel pump here, if we just pull this out, this will be the cold start. So, oh, it does indeed pull out. So with that, we'll put the air intake back on, the exhaust over the top, and we'll give it a bit of glow, and then we'll see if it will go. See if this made any difference. Now, bearing in mind that normally this needs an absolute massive amount of glow. So we'll do that, and hasn't made that much of a difference. Give it some more glow. That is very definitely out. Throttle is middle position. People have said before this needs a good minute's worth of glow. That is screwed in. So this thing does not come out. That is just apparently a bleeder that allows it to bleed itself up easier. Right, let's try it again now. Close. Come on. The answer is no. It doesn't make a whole lot of difference, really. Nope. It might do something, but in the grand scheme of things, not a huge difference. And as I couldn't see or breathe, I decided to leave that little experiment there and call it a failure. Now, some of you may recall way back last year when we did Lemons 2.0 that my little Reliant didn't have a working fuel gauge, and I just kept every couple of 100 miles filling up the tank. And I decided that really that's gone on long enough, and I would attempt to fix it. Well, welcome underneath the Reliant. So my mission today is to take this off because my fuel sender isn't working, which is funny enough on the top of it. So first up is to undo that so I can pull off the filler pipe, and then to drop that one, and on the other side there's the same, so I can try and remove the fuel tank. So good fun here. As you can see, we're on axle stands, we're doing stuff safely and professionally for once. I've undone this, so it should just now be a matter of giving this a hard tug. Jubilee clip disappeared, and filler cap. Right, so next we need to support this thing. You know how some jobs in principle seem really easy, but when you actually do them you find that they're really quite difficult? This was one of these jobs. This was just a disaster, but we now have petrol mostly in cans, fuel tank off. We can move forward with the next stage. So, stuff that's happened, I've got that out, which looks to be fairly rusty along there, around there, and just general corrosion. It may be the reason it stopped working. It just might got to, or it could have been that the wire that connects there was broken. Also, the paint has come off onto my hands. As the petrol's gone on the side of it, it's just stripped it down. So I need to clean all of that out without putting it in the tank. And yeah, new one is now in, but it's a plastic one. The old one, being that, was metal, so that used to earth through the tank. So I've now got to put a earth coming from that over to this, which will then earth to the chassis, so that this can then be bolted up with that. And I've got my earth line, hopefully this will work. So this is where we are. This here, that's now connected, leading from the earth on the plastic pump to the top of the tank, doing more or less what it would have done originally. So I need to make sure I put that in when I install it and do it up tight. And now I just need to repair the lead over under there and put a new spade on that so that actually connects to the pump, which may well have been the problem to start off with, that the spade wasn't connected, rendering this entire operation pretty null and void. Well, actually, I had to say that. I did need to drop the tank to get to it, but I possibly didn't need to spend money buying a new sender. On the other hand, it probably means it will last forever. I had learnt from my previous mistakes, and this time used a jack to lift the tank up into position so that I could easily put in the supporting bolts, which all went really well until I knocked over the jack. But with a little bit of work, the tank was actually back in place. I wonder here, I'm trying to get this bit, that nut there, to sit on top of that there, which is right underneath the fiberglass. An impossible angle, so I'm actually using the camera I'm filming on now to see what I'm doing. Because if not, I'll have to swap to that hand. I've got no idea. Go on, find the thing. Come on, please. So here we go. A moment of truth, ignition on, and what happens? Oh, well, that's disappointing. Absolutely nothing. Oh wait, no, hello. Has that moved a little? Having actually achieved something myself, which is, I know, a rarity, I think that's a good place to round off this episode of What's Broken Now. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. Let us know which vehicle you want to see progress on most. And of course, if you have enjoyed this one, how about clicking somewhere coming up on the screen now for one of the other episodes that you might enjoy. And with that, thanks for watching, guys. We will see you next time. And you never know, Matt might edit it. Right, that will do. Oh, also, these guys are good.